Now, to be honest, every entrepreneur founder knows the struggle. I mean, you're constantly juggling, you're constantly in the juggling act with business growth, innovation, and financial sustainability with limited resources and sky-high ambitions. Now, in the midst of this, you have to cut costs without compromising your vision. And that is a delicate balance. Now think about it. You've got an idea that could change the world, but you're juggling a shoestring budget. You're probably trading sleep for Excel spreadsheets, and every naira must be accounted for. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're not alone in this. Countless entrepreneurs have walked this tightrope, and many have found innovative ways to stretch those precious naira notes. Now, how do you trim the fat without losing the muscle? So this morning on the program, we will discuss practical strategies to optimize your startup expenses without sacrificing growth. From streamlining operations and outsourcing to negotiating with vendors and suppliers, implementing cost-effective marketing strategies, leveraging technology and automation, and above all of this, the importance of strategic partnerships. Now, that's very key. And also prioritizing needs over wants. That's a very important factor to consider. Now, remember, cost cutting is not about sacrificing quality. It's about spending smart naira notes on important decisions. So we here on Market Insights are here to empower you with the knowledge to turn your startup dreams into reality. So stay tuned. Many thanks for watching the program. So I have a guest joining us in the studio this morning to discuss cost-cutting strategies for startups. And my guest this morning is Mr. Sinari Daranijo. He is the Group Managing Director for SINBOL Group. Mr. Daranijo has over 30 years of experience in diverse sectors of the economy, in business, in telecommunications, in security, in development, in different sectors of the economy. So he's going to share his insights on this issue as a well-experienced businessman. So welcome to Market Insights, Mr. Daranijo. Good morning. I am very well, thank you. It's so good to have you in our studios this morning. Okay, so startups, I mean, that's a very key area. A lot of people are going into business nowadays, and it's something that people talk about. It could be fashion, food, it could be catering, events, different types of businesses. Now, what are the most common challenges that startups face when trying to cut costs?
First, you have to start the business for cutting costs.
Yes.
Now, for instance, most people go around raising funds to do the business. It's never enough. Let's use an example. We started with selling electronic materials, electronic security and telecoms. And the process was, hey, we didn't have money to buy stock. So what we had money to do was advertising. So we advertised, got clients, and then we bought stock from people who held stock. I mean, that was one way of doing it. And there's this principle we have of zero to cash. As an entrepreneur, you have to keep thinking of ways to make things happen without money.
That's very, very key.
Yeah,
Thinking of ways to make things happen without money.
Yes.
Now, looking at your own case, how you started off, now how were you able to pull through all of this to actually go full steam ahead with your business?
Like I said, primarily it's you advertise if you're selling products. Obviously today it's even easier. There's the social media platforms. I mean, earlier on there was nothing like that. You just advertise and people come. I mean, people who need your products come over to you and you sell and you grow from there. You link, your contacts grow from person to person. Depends on the quality of your delivery.
Okay, that's very true. So marketing and advertising makes a big difference for them. Yes. Okay. Now, let's move on to this next question. Now, how can startups identify areas where they can cut costs without impacting their core business operations?
Okay. So the important thing also is that they have to have a cash flow management process. They have to ensure that they distinguish between the essential and non-essential parts of the business. You have to ensure that when cutting costs as well, you do not cut costs that affect the quality of your delivery. So all that must be put in place before you start thinking of cutting costs. You must be sure that your product still comes out right, and then you know you
Okay,
cut
so
costs at the non-essential parts.
okay, yes, that's also very important. Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Sinari. Now, okay, we know that in this 21st century, we most people who are going into business now have a very key advantage. Now, they have the use of technology. So now, in all of this, how does technology play a very important role in helping startups to cut costs?
Wow, I mean, technology has sort of sorted out all the problems. I mean, all you need is your idea, a few products, is a camera, your phone camera, put your products online and put your pricing, make a lot of noise, spend a bit of money on shooting your products out into the market, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform you want to use. And I mean, a lot of young people are surviving because of that, because the current physical economy could not even absorb them. But due to the use of technology, everybody can come up with the idea and throw it to the world right away and start to do business.
Okay, that's very true. Technology has made everything easy.
Right.
Now,
So,
okay, yes, very, very simple now. Okay, so now this let's talk about strategies that these first-time business owners can adopt now. So, what strategies can these startups implement to reduce energy consumption and also lower utility bills?
well, the first thing is actually okay. If you're it's actually space saving.
Okay.
Let's look at space saving. You have to what do I call it now? You have to set up a system within your system that allows you to ensure that everybody who works there, one, obviously you don't come to work every day. You have to do your work at home maybe 2 days a week, and then they come to the office for 3 days. And there's so many little things like telling people to power down their computers when they're not using it, and ensuring that your lights are energy saving bulbs, all, all those power energy things, because energy is expensive now, so you
Yes.
have to ensure that you cut all that.
Okay, okay. Now looking at yes, we know the electricity tariffs have been increased right now, and people are complaining. Yes, we know there's band A, B, or C, and apart from that, let's picture this scenario now. A first-time business owner, maybe the person is perhaps a baker now, and she has to use she needs electricity to be able to store her cakes and other treats in the fridge when she has finished baking, and that requires a lot of power. Now, how do you advise, for example, a first-time baker to go about cutting costs and managing utility bills?
For people in that business, obviously they will have to switch between using gas and electricity and see how they can manage the funding. Just check the prices, do your cost efficient figures, and know which one is best. Really, I mean, for you can't really manage electricity bills if you are. But I do not think that the if you are baking, I think it will be better for you to switch to gas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, rather if you are in band A, for instance, don't try it.
Okay,
Yeah,
because this people would definitely, I mean, they're just starting up with the business, and like you said, yes, trying to manage different kinds of costs is going to be a bit of a challenge for
remember,
them.
see today's cost per unit, and someone who's
Yes.
doing that, you have to ensure that you continue to charge your units to be able
Okay.
to do that.
Okay. So, okay, let's talk about also more effective ways to reduce marketing and marketing expenses without sacrificing on brand visibility. Now, we
Sure.
know that this first-time business owners will want to put their whatever brands, whatever they are into out there, and definitely there's always a unique selling point for them. So, how can they ensure that they are cutting this cost on marketing and not reducing their standards, their business standards, when they're selling to their customers?
Well, luckily we have technology, so most of them would focus on the blogs, on Instagram, and all the different platforms that is available
Okay.
for marketing. And seriously, today you don't need to go physical. In the olden days, you had to buy cars and employ marketing people to go all over the place. But today, I mean, you can get online and do it very good
Well,
pricing.
it's not everybody that knows you out there, so you still need to. There's that word of mouth marketing that still needs to be done, and if you
Yes, that will be
trying to
person to
compete,
person.
yes,
As in, your clients obviously will be expected to refer you, isn't it?
yes,
And then
that's
you
one
would
way.
also tell them to give you reference. So it's really from references that you get marketing. I mean, person to person, going out to advertise. Yes, some people still do handbills and then throw it around. You just make sure you use all the. Well, if you want to cut costs, the easiest way is to start that way, and you still have to go back to the traditional way as well. And also encourage every customer to talk to other customers for you.
Yes, that's a faster way. Yes, that
Yes.
whole telling your customers to also help around with the marketing.
And you can also use influencers.
Well, those influencers charge a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Startup
so
might not even be able to talk to influencers as well. That's true.
yes, that's very true. We're thinking of ways they can actually manage their resources
Mhm.
and still be able to deliver quality on whatever it is
So
they're
it's just what they
advertising.
push online on the social media platform that will start that.
Okay. Now, yes. Okay. Now, in all of this, now I'm quite sure when you decided to set up your own business, you had some ideals. You had your the key things you wanted to achieve. You also had the kind of ideas you wanted your brand to put out there, and the kind of clientele you wanted to attract. Now, how can a first-time business owner what kind of key performance indicators should they look out for to monitor how they are saving their resources or saving money when managing their business?
Probably like you spoke earlier on about cost saving strategies. You mentioned things like ensuring you audit your accounts. You have to watch the pennies,
Yes.
and you also have to ensure that your staff also follow. They understand that they should not be wasteful. It's like ensuring that you put rules in place that will
Yes.
ensure that you save money.
Okay. Well, so okay, but okay, yes, that whole key performance indicators actually is just to ensure that they are monitoring everything,
Every single
every single
process
thing
is
that they
monitored.
are doing. Okay. Now, so before we move on to the next segment now, okay, now, so the strategies they can employ, okay, now, for example, we also talked about if you, the kind of business you are doing also, like in telecoms, you said you started off with
Yes.
selling electrical materials. So now, if you have to start selling, or maybe you decided to start selling or start off with the car hire service, for example, now, how do you actually manage to reduce your operational cost while managing customer satisfaction? Like, what steps would you recommend for them?
Well, the first thing is staff training.
Well, if you can't afford to employ other staffs and you have maybe 3 cars that you want to be using for a car hire service, for example, and then, okay, yes, you have drivers there. That's all you can afford
Are you
for
talking
now.
of car hires
Yes,
where
car
people
hire
drive
service.
themselves or the drivers drive the cars?
The drivers drive
So
the
once you
car.
have drivers who drive the car, you just give them the budget. They must understand your budget because they shouldn't think you're making $1 billion. You know how Nigerians are. If you don't tell them what the costs are, what their limits are, there's no way you can manage that. So there must be a budget, and there must be a way to ensure that you've checked little things like petrol per kilometer. How much petrol does this car use per kilometer? So all those kind of things should be in place. And the drivers obviously should be responsible for anything that goes out of your budget.
Okay, well, that was okay. And would you also, yes, I know with your wealth of experience, would you also advise this to people in other sectors, whether they're in entertainment or in fashion, in designing, in architecture? Would you also these same steps?
Yes, in today's world, especially with what is happening, the exchange rates, cost of diesel, cost of fuel, everybody have automatically come up with strategies to cut down. In any profession you are, you definitely will be looking at ways of even office sharing and start. People share offices, you share your resources, you share everything to ensure that you can cut costs. And if you have to lease space, you lease space. And, there's so much going on right now.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Daranijo. Okay, let's take a break now. When we return, we're going to discuss further with Mr. Daranijo on how to improve on your return on investments and improve your marketing strategy. So join us after this break.
Peri-urban agriculture plays a very, very important role in diversifying urban diets and also providing staple foods for daily consumption.
Additionally, fluctuations in the exchange rate and disruptions in the global supply chain have further inflated costs.
Join us on Market Insights, Monday through Fridays, 11 a.m. to 12 noon here on Soup News Television. We are your premier destination for cutting-edge market insights.
Many thanks for watching the program. So we're still discussing cost-cutting strategies for startups with our guest in the studio, Mr. Sinari Daranijo. He's the Group Managing Director of SINBOL Group of Companies. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, I mentioned that. Okay, so we're going to discuss some return on investments. Now, how can first-time business owners, how can they optimize their marketing budget to maximize their return on investments?
Okay, like I said earlier on, I mean, the easiest and most cost-effective way is technology. That's online. I think basically you can use SEO, and also your email marketing is very effective. It actually churns out a high return on investment. And of course, you optimize your website to ensure that people can hit it once they ask for that product. That's very important. And those have lower costs and a higher impact.
Okay, yes. SEO, email marketing. Okay, yes, that's very key. Okay, can you also
Content marketing as well,
okay,
obviously.
so most of these are online.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, yes, okay. So actually helps to cut costs. Yes, these can help. Okay, now what is the highest marketing channel that can also give high returns now?
Email marketing has been proven to do quite a lot. It penetrates everybody. They see it continuously, and a high percentage responds at one point.
Really? Okay, but what about those people who don't have emails? Because there are some people living in our country that don't have access to the internet.
So they don't have access to the internet, and you want to sell your product to them today, then you have to lift a bit higher than being a small business. So you have to spend money. You go out there and do campaigns, advertising campaigns, and leverage on other known brands to reach other people. That's when you have to start talking about influencers and all those other things.
Okay. So, okay, now we all know that there is a fine line between persistence and pushiness in terms of also attracting investors to invest in your business. Now, how can these first-time founders and business owners now how can they navigate this area to know the difference between being persistent and being pushing while trying to attract investors?
Okay, so one of the major issues for investor attraction, as far as I'm concerned, is none of those two things you mentioned. An investor brings his money out for value exchange. There must be exchange of value. So if you're going to present or speak to an investor about what you want, there must be value that makes sense to the investor as well. It's not about being pushy. And most investors, they run through, they listen to you 5-10 minute pitch. If they're gonna say yes, they will tell you. It's not about your pushing. They're gonna say no, they say no.
Okay, so so somebody who has perhaps a technology idea, maybe to build an app, and then they don't really have all the necessary funds to put together, and then decide to pitch this idea. They have done it, been turned down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. What would you advise such people when pitching?
So there's some investors that are particularly focused on technology. They'll risk it. But I'd say again, it depends on the value you're exchanging. What's the aim and what's part of the sector of the economy you're solving a problem at? That's very important. Once you can solve a particular problem that yields a large mass of people, yeah, you'll get investors.
Okay. So that's very true. Okay, now yeah, we've touched about technology. Now okay, now let's look at e-commerce now, because with our country right now, everybody's going digital, especially the next generation. They're all putting whatever it is they're selling online. Now what cost-cutting measures would you advise these e-commerce owners to implement in terms of also to optimize their logistics?
Like I said, the fastest way to drive your website to the top is by the SEO. You have to continuously push your site to the top, and that's the way to do it. Because if you don't want to spend too much money, as in going out to make all the noise, all the work starts and ends on the internet today.
Okay, well, that's very true. Okay, now let's look at human capital now. We've seen you also talked about examples of this in your own line of business too. Now, with what effective strategy should there be for retaining top talents if you have to actually reduce salary costs for business?
Well, one of the major areas for for keeping people is actually you have to invest in development. Training and development is number one, and you have to ensure that you get their buy-in into the focus and the vision of your of the business. If they're not passionate about the business, then you're not going to get maximum returns from them. Most people talk about money. I don't think that's a big factor, because if we do the work and we get more money, we all get more money. So we all have to be focused. But like I said, employee training, passion, being interested in the business are the things that the employees really would.
Okay. When you say employee training, that's from the business owner training his staff.
Yes, he has to invest in training them continuously.
Okay,
And also
continuous
getting
training.
them focused, getting them interested in what the company is doing.
So now, okay, yes, we know during the COVID-19 period, there was a time where people had to be working from home during that period now. So now, these days, some companies are still adopting that same work from home. Maybe they tell them in a 5-day work week, maybe come to the office for 2 days or come to the office for 3 days, then stay at home for 2 days. So now how can a startup leverage remote work or flexible working arrangements to cut costs without compromising on employee morale or productivity?
Fortunately, unfortunately, the world has moved to this work at home thing. And seriously, unless your customer service or a company that can put measurable deliverables online for the staff, you cannot really measure what they are doing at home. So you have to just give measurable things that they need to deliver must be measurable, and then that's it. So working from home, yes, I think that going back into the offices should help us going forward, even for mental health, for interaction with people. I think going back into the offices would be a way to go. But obviously, to cut costs, as you said, if I'm in my house for 2 days, I'm also using my electricity and my diesel and everything. So what are these employers talking about? I'm not delivering for you. I'm sitting in my house. I'm spending money too. So we need to come to the office and do that. We get that extra money to ensure that we can deliver from home. So everything has
in
its
some
own.
cases, they are giving that money for data. Yes,
Yeah, that's fine. You have to do that. Once you do that, fine. Everybody's good. But then how do you measure how many hours a guy puts in when he's at home? It's just by giving them deliverables. That's the way to go.
Yes, giving them targets
Yeah,
to meet those
targets.
targets. Yes.
So time, deliver this, and let's see.
Okay. Okay. So now, with in terms of actual achieving these targets, now how do you make it very practical, very relatable for people? Now we know, yes, you're told, for example, if you are working in XYZ company and they say, oh, this month each person has so and so target to achieve, and you also know that running the company is quite a strain on your resources. So how do you make it very realistic for these people to get those targets and also be able to
Very,
show
very easy.
keep their
9 times out of
productivity?
10, targets are also linked to income. So when I give you a target, there's an expected minimum income flow I expect from you. If you don't meet that target, then I know that you haven't met your target and you are not delivering to the center. That's very easy. If it's marketing and you're supposed to get a target of 200 customers and you get 5, that means you haven't been working.
Okay. So in that kind of scenario, based on
It's
that, you
practical. It's
just
just direct. There's no need, checking. You put in deliverables, you put in numbers, and everybody must deliver. You don't have to sit with them. They become responsible for themselves as they move along.
okay. Now with the current economy in the situation in the country, yes, we know things are really tough for people right now. Inflation is really high right now. So now, for people, we've heard of companies folding up because of the high cost of operations. Now, how do you advise this people who still want to go into business at this crucial point in the country? What steps they have to take? And if in the events that they also have to cut costs, like how do they manage their business during this period?
So it's tough times, but the summary. At the end of the day, you can only sell what you produce at the price you produce it. So at the end of the day, these big costs are passed on to the customers. So we are the ones screaming, hey, this was 15 naira last week, it's now 500 naira. Yeah, I cannot sell it for 15 naira anymore. I produce it for 450 now. I still have to make my 15 naira. So it's just unfortunate. The entire environment feels the heat from the manufacturer to the customers. But at the end of the day, it goes out there and hits the customer. We have to buy fuel at the price now, whether we like it or not. So people even buy black market at higher prices.
Okay, well, it's such a
When it's being
pity,
sold.
but the customer bears the brunt. I mean,
That's the
that's not
point.
really fair.
Unfortunately, the customer bears the brunt, so the entire environment is heated up.
Okay, now in terms of marketing, because you've emphasized the importance of this, both especially with email marketing that you said. Yes. Now okay, now so what sales techniques can startups employ to reduce their sales cycle time and also increase conversion rates?
Right. So in this kind of case, you're looking. So you have to now look at the niche marketing. You have to focus on a niche that will deliver most value for you. So if you're selling, let's say you're selling food, and you're in an area where there are lots of offices, you have to go for those offices directly and see how you can do bulk deliveries to them. If you're doing dry cleaning services, you have to now go to your last mile customer to be able to get efficiency and effectiveness in raising funding. I mean, in getting more money in.
Okay, so this everybody you need to actually focus on what your best selling point is.
That's
That's what
right.
we also need to
Look for your
reconcile.
niche and hit it hard.
Okay, okay. And okay, so would you, looking at everything happening in the country right now, would you actually advise more people to go into business during with your years of expertise? I want to get your thoughts on this.
Problem is, at this point, this is a time to really look and watch before you put people's money into some idea that you have, because I mean all the stats, all the numbers around do not add up at the moment. You have to be sure what you're doing. Like I said, but there's some sectors that people look at. There's some compulsory sectors like food. People must eat, whether food has grown to five, I mean whatever. I mean we all complain, oh it's so expensive, but we still have to eat. I mean you know what I'm
Yes,
saying? I mean,
that's right.
people, there was a time everybody was discussing about price of tomatoes. How? I looked at myself and said, how come I now know the price of a basket of tomato? Because all I do is just live when I get fed. But hey, now I know the price of. So it means that at the end of the day, these things will get to everybody. But like you said, customer will always pay.
Okay, so now yes, we've covered most of the areas now. Okay, so the most now from your I'm going to tap into your wealth of experience now. From everything you've gone through, I'm sure when you were starting off your business and when you started growing your business, it came to certain stages where you had to say, okay, I need to reduce my cost on operations and some other things that I'm running in this business to ensure I make maximum profitability now. So now I want to tap into your wealth of experience. Now, what would you advise to an upcoming business owner who is trying to survive this period to actually say, okay, maybe 10 years down the line, I won't regret this decision that I made in 2024?
At this point, seriously, survival will be based on multiple streams of income. If you face one particular line and you see on time that the profitability is not making it work, you need to look for other things to back it up. It will still be in the same value chain, but you have to understand, take a good look at the value chain. It's like going into agriculture. Do you want to be a farmer or a bulk produce purchaser or a processing person, or do you want to be the last mile, or you want to be a restaurant? So you have to understand where you're going to fit into before you go into any business today.
Okay, now let's talk about leadership. That's a very important role to consider because we always say that if there's a good leader, therefore that business will definitely succeed. Now, okay, so what role does leadership play in driving successful cost-cutting initiatives?
Right. Obviously, the guy at the top of any business, the buck stops on his table. So you must ensure that he puts, like I said again, he puts down processes that will deliver value and profit for the business. And to be able to do that, it comes from a lot of experience because you get hit before you know what to do. And this market is just unpredictable. You just have to do your trials, and we're all a product of our experiences. So your experience will take you to where you get to, but you still go through that experience.
Okay, now, do you think a leader needs to have an overall idea of what he's buying or what he's selling before he starts getting
Okay,
into
so definitely an idea owner must ensure that he has done all his research before he goes into that business. He knows where to do, where to go to, and how to sell it before he passes the information onto his workforce. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, because I looked at your experience and you started off selling electrical materials, and then so
Yes, I have.
I'm actually curious,
Run
like
through,
why?
I've run through various sectors of the economy as an entrepreneur. I've sold. Now, electronics started from a demand. In those days, you go to people's houses, you have to knock on the gate or press a bell. So we thought, why can't they just have something decent, like a telecom system where you put it outside, you press a button, and you can talk to people inside. And then that went on. Then we also had cases of converting cars to putting car alarms on cars, because there was car theft. So we had to now come up with products. So it was as the economy demanded and as the demand came up, then we delivered the solutions to it. So really, entrepreneurship is about problem solving and creating new ideas. You have to continue to be creative and you have to think on your feet and you have to keep moving. So we move on from there. And then when the GSM companies came in, they were all looking for people who would sell recharge cards, and we decided not to. We decided to look at the growth of the business because one, we knew that before customers should come online, they had to install equipment. So we faced the equipment side and we partnered with them growing. And we grew with a couple of the telecoms company by holding some solid materials like antennas, radios, and all that. So we became reps for the big companies, and that's how we left the buzzer and phone business and we went up higher.
Okay, I like that. So every time you always saw there was a need that people
Yes.
needed to be solved, and that's what you would advise. Apart from that, looking out for a need to be solved, what else was your
Yeah,
advice?
problem solving and
Problem
creating
solving.
new things. At the end of the day, you must look at your environment. Where is Nigeria today? Is this a time to start hawking perfumes or things that are not 100% relevant? Is it time to sell food? Is it time to look at things that people would need? People are going to cut off all the excesses right now because there's no spare change.
Okay, now, so now how can this looking at employee morale, because that's something people can get easily discouraged with everything. They can start wondering, oh, am I really doing the right thing? Am I in the right step? Because a lot of people are complaining that their salaries are not sufficient enough to get all the things that they need. So now, how important is employee morale and engagement in the success of cost cutting?
So I said the first thing is to ensure that the owner of the business ensures that all the people you bring into the business have a clear idea of the vision of the business. You must all be passionate and you must all know where the business is going. You should open up to his employees as much as possible because really it's not about high salaries. Money does not fall from trees. Money falls from where we make it. So if you're working with me and we create income, it's within the income that we create that I pay you salaries. So but people don't know that. They just think salary money comes from heaven. No, it doesn't.
Okay. Well, employees also know that they also impute their own quota into the business.
Oh, yes, that's important because you actually carry over the 50 to 80%, but you expect that the employees have to put in their own 20 to 50% to ensure to guarantee their monthly payments,
Okay, that's very true.
especially in a small business.
Yes, especially with small
Corporates are
business.
different. Corporates will continue to borrow money to ensure they pay, even if they don't have it.
Yes, okay. So yes, we looked at that area, and this is mostly for small and medium business.
Exactly.
Yes, those
So,
are that's our targets right now. So now the long-term impact of this, like I mentioned, this is if, for example, a business owner decides, oh, this year I think I need to reduce cost on a certain number of things. Now the long-term impact of cost-cutting measures on a startup's competitive advantage. Now, how do you think it will affect them?
so ideally, if you perfect your cost-cutting measures, obviously it leads to more profits.
Yeah.
So the eventual result is more profits and success.
Okay, now, what do you think of partnerships during this period now? Because a lot of people are looking at, yes, in our banking sector, it's been recommended for them to meet the CBNs, yes, to merge. Now, for business owners, now, would you also recommend perhaps partnerships to ensure that these businesses can increase their profits and also can also grow during this trying time? So your thoughts on this, Mr. Sinari?
So, major problem with partnerships and small and medium businesses is that the vision of the two leaders might not be clear cut. So, once you want to go into partnership, you must ensure that they're all written down and you agree on the terms and conditions to move forward. If you don't do that, it's tough.
Well, definitely. But the purpose, yeah, the purpose of this is to meet a very challenging demand. And yes, if you're trying to reduce your operation cost, and you can see, oh, if I'm selling the same products as this person, instead of competing, let's just come together. And for small-time business owners, do you think this is more of an advantage for them?
We call it cooperating, but for SMEs, the market is huge anyway, so we all hold our niches. When you come together like that, it's really tough. It's really tough at that level because of it's not, there's no standard platform that takes you to that level where you can say, okay, right, so you bring 100 million, I bring 100 million, and then we'll push it. It never works like that. One guy would say that I'm doing all the work, you are bringing all the money. I mean, the fact that you are doing all the work, if there's no money, so there's a lot of issues.
Okay. So you would not say a partnership form
For small and medium businesses, I'm not sure partnerships and mergers would work. It will work as you go higher.
Oh.
From my experience.
Yes. And as a well-experienced businessman, I mean, yes, 30 years is no small feat. Yeah, so you would understand that better. Okay, now, so looking at everything that we have discussed so far, yes, we've touched on the importance of technology. It's definitely aiding startups and first-time business owners, and email marketing too is a very effective strategy too. Also, the person-to-person telling your customers to market for you also. Now, in terms of this operations and to reduce your operating costs, we talked about cutting costs on salaries and also reducing the workforce. But even though it's an unpleasant thing for business owners, but it sometimes does happen. But in a scenario where perhaps maybe there's a positive turnaround in the business, would you recommend or would you advise that business owner to recall those staffs that he has to lay off during the trying times, or he can just proceed with a fairly new bunch?
So it depends on the model of your business today. Laying off staff might not be a wise idea if they're already there. Like I said, you have the option of working from home and all that. So if you notice, most of for instance, property companies, 90% of the staff are on commission. So eventually you end up working for yourself in an environment such as this. So it's what you sell that you make.
You sell that you make. Okay. Okay, so now this idea of actually, how do you ensure that your brand is not all the ideals that you stood for when you were setting up your business? I'm sure everybody has the ambitions, the dreams that they want to achieve. How do you ensure that your brand and the targets and everything your brand stands for is not totally diminished in the event that you have to start cutting costs? What steps would you recommend to such people?
So I'll say that whatever you do, you must ensure that your brand visibility remains constant. It's an essential part of your business. You know, I told you about essential and non-essential. So your brand visibility must be clear. You must continue to establish that to ensure that you can get more customers. Because at one point, it will get to that level where, hey, this name rings a bell and this is the brand I want to buy. So you have to continue to do that. So it's not one of the no money areas. There must be money for that, even if that's all that's left.
Okay, that's very true. Okay, thank you so much for this, Mr. Sinari. It's been great having this discussion with you and touching on all these very important key areas in all of this. And for people who are just, I know a lot of people want this multiple streams of income and they think, okay, yes, business will be the best place for me to get this now. So if, let's picture this scenario now, if an undergraduate, rather a graduate, who has completed youth service and is coming out of school and is like, okay, I'm done with this. I can't get a full-time employment and I've chosen to go into business. Maybe I want to start selling fashion and different types of accessories, selling clothes and accessories now. So now looking at everything that the person is going through, would you just say, okay, stick to e-commerce alone, or would you also advertise or rent a shop?
So like I say again, the issue of renting a shop is out these days. So I used to say to young people when I do my entrepreneurship training, your stock is with other people. If I told you how I started. So you're younger, you want to sell fashion, you go and look for someone who import. There are people who import large quantities of clothes and just keep it in the store, they can't move. You have the advantage of technology. You can actually take pictures of somebody else's store and put it online and then sell and get commissions from that person. So that's also a strategy for young people to start. So you push. I know a lot of people who are doing that already. And you go to the wholesale places, you do a deal with them, you give me 20% if I sell this for you, and you go and blast it. So sometimes I see the same product on like 10 different people that say, you guys are selling the same thing, but they don't even own the materials. The stuff is in one guy's store and they're all pushing. So if you find your customers, you make your commission. So that's a good way to start though. And also freelancing. You can also, for instance, you can be selling property until the day you hit it. You can freelance, you can sell other people's products. You'll always be online, e-marketing, email marketing, digital marketing processes. You have the tools in your hands, on your phone, just do it.
Those are very, very key words of advice from Mr. Sinari with over 30 years in the business industry. So that's something that every young person should look out for. Yes. Okay. Now, let me get your final thoughts on this whole scenario with strategies, cost-cutting strategies for first-time business owners. Now, what do you recommend for them to do?
In today's world,
yes, in today's world,
where everything, you need to watch all your costs. For a first-time business owner, obviously, you must be focused on your deliverable. You must be focused on driving value and giving value to your last-mile customer. And you must also look at a niche. You must hit hard on your niche to ensure that you can, sell.
Okay, hitting hard on your niche.
Once you know that, there are 500 people here who would like this every time, make sure you do that and hold on to your niche.
Okay, and in the event that they can actually attract more investors, they run out of their capital. Pitching for investors is always, don't be too when I mentioned about
when you pitch for investors, make sure you pitch value. It's not about you coming back 100 times. An investor will say yes or no at probably the first or second time of listening to you.
Okay, so value is very key for them to pitch, and yes, and always looking out for a need. There should be a need, that problem solving. Yes, that's always. Okay, thank you so much for your time with us this morning, Mr. Sinari Daranijo. It's been great having this conversation with you on cost-cutting strategies for startups. Many thanks for joining us on Market Insights this morning, and I look forward to having you again in our studios. Thank
you very much.
Okay, now let's look at the money markets this morning. How is the Naira faring when selling? How are the foreign currencies faring this morning? That's the dollars, pound sterling, and the euro. So for today, Thursday, 22nd August, the dollar at the CBN rate, the dollar is selling at 1,525 naira to $1, and at the parallel market rate is selling for 1,573 naira to $1. For the pound sterling, it's selling at 2,028 naira to £1 sterling. At the parallel market rate, it is selling at 2,064 naira to £1 sterling. For the euro, at the CBN rate, it's selling at 1,732 naira to €1. At the parallel market rate, it is selling at 1,753 naira to €1. So those are our money market figures this morning. Many thanks for watching the program Market Insights as we discuss cost-cutting strategies for startups. And our guest this morning was Mr. Sinari Daranijo. He's the GMD for SINBOL Group of Companies, and he gave us a lot of experience, or his wealth of expertise in this area, how people should not lose hope and how they need to keep identifying problem areas to solve, and they will keep on making money. So many thanks for watching the program, and also thank you to my guests for joining us this morning. I am your host, Lovina Emma.